I'm audible. Can I?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can proceed, sir.
Yeah, I'll take another 5 minutes to complete. Okay.
Okay,
I
no,
know.
sir. No problem. No problem, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. So, coming to this quantum dots or nanoparticles, based on their size and shape, their applications also varies. They have a different size. You can say nanorods, can be nanosphere, triangle, cuboidal, and some other. You can say many other shapes. And again, as we said, it ranges from 100 to 1 nanometer. So the engineered nanoparticles can be either organic or can be inorganic. And again, based on the applications, you can see in most of our, you can say about the biological applications, we may go for organic nanoparticles. That is, the nanoparticles which have been coated with certain kind of, you can say, bioconjugates, right? That become compatible with the, you can say, system. So you may have different compositions where we have carbon, we have metal, we have metal metalloid. We have, you can say about organic, which are which are, you can say about the polymeric materials, hydrogels, and so on. And again, that can be functionalized. You can say the surface chemistry can be modified. So they can have a surface charge plus or minus based on, you can think about, they can be hydrophobicity. You can have, I can say, surface functional groups. It can be a thiol group. It can be a carboxyl group. It can be an amine group. So it can be again have some kind of a PEG, you can say, coatings or other coatings based upon the applications. And again, it can be, can say, based on the target, you can say, a molecule. It can be modified such as, if, for example, you can target an antibody, right? The functionalized group can attach with an antibody, or you can say with some peptides, with, you can say, some other even, can say, analyte target molecules. Next slide, please. So going to this nanotechnology pathogen direction, basically, as we said, we have been exploring all kind of, you can say, its properties. Been, you can say, can target the cells can be one of the target molecule. There could be a biomarkers, or it could be an antigen, or it could be even an antibody. So these, when they combine together, they produce some signals. That signals can be received or amplified in form of magnetic, electrical, or optical properties. As we said, optical, maybe it could be a naked eye, or it could be a fluorescence. And it can sometimes can be even, you can say, physiometric, where a mechanical, you can say, displacement, or sometimes it can be even, you can say, about electrochemical, you can about reactions. So certain piezometers, you know about, they can say undergo certain kind of, you can say, pressures, and they do emit the electrical signals, which can be, you can say, used by whatever the, you can say, signals they come in any of these forms can be again processed and can be expressed in form of the relevant, you can say for example, could be an identification of a metal. It can speak about the quality and quantity of certain, you can say, about pathogens, or you can say toxins present in that environment. So coming to the very first example, it is called as the polystyrene, you can say, functionless cadmium selenium, you can say cadmium selenide, zinc sulfide quantum dots. It's the core shell. Inside the core is nothing but your cadmium selenide, and the shell is nothing but your zinc sulfide. It's a quantum dots, you can say, which can have a fluorescent property to rapidly detect, you can say, E. coli. So as we say, this cosine is, you can say, a polypeptide antibiotic, right? Which is, you can say, about known to react for, you can say, about this gram-negative bacteria, E. coli. It is a bacterial drug that interacts with, you can say, the lipopolysaccharides, which we call as LPS molecules, which is present in the outer membrane of this bacteria. And this LPS, whose thickness is around, I can say, 8 to, you can say, 10 nanometers, and contains, you can say, three major structural components shown in the figure, which is the lipid A, then you can say a core oligosaccharide, and an outer polysaccharide. So this will be, you can say, about attached, or it engulfs, you can say, about the fluorescence spectra of this polis QDS. You can say about this embeds the quantum dots, where we can say the quantum dots do have, we can say the carboxylase group as a functional groups, and this attached to that, right? And when you do screen, they do emit, you can say, the fluorescence spectrum at an excitation wavelength of 400 nanometers, and the emission spectrum is roughly around 575 nanometers. So this is the combination. You can see about the quantum dots combining with, you can say, the Collis, or Colstin, which you say about the Collis QD, and when it comes across the E. coli, it binds to the E. coli, and once it binds to the E. coli, because it is the binding happens by means of an affinity binding, and so when it binds, it starts emitting, you can say, a kind of a fluorescence of the, you can say, about the wavelength which was already been mentioned. So the interaction was, you can say, transduced through changes observed on the fluorescence spectra of this Collis quantum dots conjugated with this, you can say, about biomaterial, or you can say the biological agent, and they bind with the, you can say, about the bacterial cells, and it has been, you can say, the spectrum has been scanned. So the intensity also sometimes, you can say, about the number of, you can say, the this quantum, the, you can say, dots, you can say the Collis quantum dots, and you can say the number of bacteria when they encounter, you can say the quantity of the bacteria present can be seen in terms of the intensity which has been given out. So this is the, I can say, the mechanism which is saying about is the binding model for this colistin with, can say, LPS bioconjugate or conjugate, which is basically an hydrophobic interaction between, you can say, the carbon fatty acids, you can say, side chain of this colistin, and which binds with this, and again, we can say the fatty acid, which is a major, you can say, lipid A part of it. So the ionic interaction with, you can, this, you can say, group, right, when it binds with the bacteria, and it also has, you can say, about this colistin has, you can say, amino groups, NH2 groups, which again, you can say, attaches with the phosphate groups of the lipid A disaccharide. So this is a, you can say, TEM image, transmission electron microscopy image, you can say, which shows that E. coli bacteria incubated with this Collis quantum dots conjugates. So you can find the larger dot, or so you can say the bacteria, which has been surrounded by this Collis body, Collis quantum dots. So this is the, you can say, a response. So you get the fluorescent, you can say, about mechanism. Basically, this, you can say, fluorescent mechanism is by means of, in this case, it is the quenching activity. The fluorescence of the quantum dots have been quenched as the number of, you can say, about bacteria increases. So you can see about, you can say, the Collis quantum dots when it's been conjugated with, you can say, this this conjugation, when it is, that is your quantum dot along with, you can say, about this conjugate, right, emits, you can say, about emission spectrum, which is higher the intensity. You can find at 0 it has a higher intensity, but when it has come in, you can say, encounters this bacteria, right, the concentration of the, you can say, the number of cells of the bacteria, when it is increases, you can find that the in fluorescence, right, intensity also, you can say, decreases. Right, so you can find the relationship was found by means of, you can say, it has been found very linear. So it says about what type of quenching it has. So basically, the fluorescence, the initial intensity minus the observed, you can say, intensity of the fluorescence divided by the original, I can say, initial fluorescence intensity into 100 will give you what is the efficiency of, you can say, quenching. So there is a decrease in the fluorescence intensity, where you will find there is a longer wavelength, you can say, being produced. You can say from the blue shift, or you can say from the blue color to, you can say, approaching towards a red or infrared color. So the principle, as we said, the quenching can happen both by means of static or by means of, you can say, dynamic quenching, based on, you can say, type of, you can say, the interaction which is happening between, you can say, about the biosensor with that of the bacteria. So if it is, you can say, a dynamic quenching, usually you can say it forms a very weak bond with the, you can say, the molecule, or you can say the with the analyte, you can say, which is called as a quencher molecule. So this biosensor, or you can say probe, will try to have, you can say, whose intensity will be reduced by means of the bacterial molecule which is getting attached to it, and this attachment is weak. So sometimes it may momentarily attach and bring down its, you can say, intensity, or it may, you can say, again stay for some time. But when you go for a static one, it forms a complex. The bacteria, or you can say the target molecule, will form a complex with this, I can say, biosensor, or you can say the Collis quantum dot, and it permanently brings down into, you can say, a non-fluorescent state, or you can say it is the ground state without any fluorescence, and make it permanently to stay there. So there are, as we said, there is a static type of quenching and dynamic quenching. So this is case two. This is also similar kind of thing, but utilizing a magnetic property. I feel my time is already up. I'm running out of time. So this is again, you can go through it. It is again a self-explanatory one. Here in this case, you will be using I can say fluorescein. You can say concanavalin, concanavalin, a magnetic nanoparticle. Again, basically, this is an iron nanoparticle with, you can say, silica coated at the top, and you have, you can say, the you call it as the magnetic, can say, glyco nanoparticles, where the nanoparticles being surrounded with a bioconjugate. So that, you can say, attaches with, you can say, about the bacteria. We can see them. There is, you can say, EABS. This EABS is nothing but, you can say, monoclonal. It's a kind of, you can say, a bioconjugate, which is, you can say, which can attach with that of, you can say, the bacteria. In here, this E. coli, you can see the rod-shaped E. coli is present over there. And once it gets attached, you can say, you can remove this, you can say, about separate them from the system by adding, you can say, about by using an external magnetic field. And again, you can say there is the further process is also being expressed. Let us stick on to only, you can say, till where there is, you can say, about magnetic, external magnetic field has been applied at the pH of 5 to, you can say, separate this, you can say, nanoparticle, and you can say, using along with the, you can say, bioconjugate to remove bacteria. Yeah, the next slide is also explain the same mechanism, right? How this MGNP is being prepared, I can say, and further being utilized to, you can say, attract, or you can say, bind with the bacteria, and further, it is being separated from the system by using an external magnetic field, and the supernatant intensity is being measured. In this case, you can even, can say, about here you utilize, you can say, about the fluorescence property of the supernatant, and also you can say the nanoparticle, and confirm whether you can say about the bacteria has been removed from the system or not. So this, you can say, MGNP, you can say, about nanoparticle, along with, you can say, about the CoA, which is nothing but your has a very, you can say, a greenish, you can say, fluorescent property. And you can see there is a picture which is shown in slide number 37, the previous slide, how the fluorescence intensity can, you can say, maybe reduced from the, you can say, supernatant by removing the bacteria which is attached along with this. And so they check for the fluorescence of the residual supernatant, and also the fluorescent intensity of this biosensor through fluorescence spectroscopy. So the other one is, again, I can say, detection. These are the same results which have been shown. So for your information, the last one is again using, you can say, Raman spectroscopy. I can say trying to capture the bacteria using, you can say, antibodies with modified silver nanoparticles. So that is for your understanding. So I think I've done with my slides. I thank you for your patient listening. And if there are some questions, I can answer them from the participants if the organizers permit me some more time to interact with the audience.
May I ask a
Thank you
question?
so much. Thank you very much, sir, for your kind and illuminative talk. Now we have a group of audience that may inquire something. If you have any query, please welcome. Most welcome to the query. Please ask the questions.
Yes? May I ask a question, Dr. Raj?
Yeah, please, Dr. Raj.
Yeah. First of all, I congratulate you for the very enlightened talk you had just given us participant. I have very just small question. Like in a similar way, like pathogen detection. There's a scar in the world right now for the biological terrorism. So for that, every country is going for biodefense. So can we use
Yeah,
this nano material functionalized enzymes for the detection or
definitely.
like for
Definitely.
some application in biodefense?
Yeah,
And if
definitely.
it is possible,
Yeah,
yeah.
for that, the thing is that the target molecule should be in the ambience. That means that the exposure has already started. If it is confined, then you will not be able to check. If you find that it is confined in something and if you want to isolate that and then utilize this biosensor to check, definitely you can check. You can definitely you can say about
Yeah, Dr.
So,
Raj,
and
sorry, yeah.
sir, just have one more question. I'm asking from the point of view of and we should give entrepreneurship some some encouragement. So can we like commercialize any researcher can go for the commercial interest point of view of these pathogen detection using functionalized nanomaterial? Uh, am I able to you know
Yes.
clearly state my question or like I should rephrase it again? Dr. Raj? Dr. Raj, I think is
Please, sir,
Muted,
sir.
unmute.
yeah.
Okay, I think he's muted. Dr. Anjani, you can go ahead and
Okay. Yeah, Dr. Raj, I think you are muted. So it was a nice presentation. Just two questions. One regarding the status, like at I think 1 decade ago, it was assumption that okay, cadmium selenide is one of the most promising quantum dots.
yes.
So, but it was not normally used in in vitro condition. Now, what is the current status? Are we able to go in vivo condition, or still it is lacking on that point?
See, I have done test on in vivo and all. Basically, cadmium selenide for its toxicity,
Yeah,
it is not
toxicity was a major concern. Yeah.
it has not been used much in the bio. You can say about direction where you can say in vivo, as you said. If it has been, you can say confined, you can say within the, you can say about immobilized materials. You have, you can say many polymeric materials which can confine them and which will not allow them to get released, but still use its property. So that's how you can say many. You can say I showed you one of the picture which is about the embryo of you can say albino mouse, where this you can say the core shell you can say about nanoparticle it is being placed, and in many of the cases you can say about they remain inside the core itself. So that's what you have a shell, you have protective layer, you have another you can say bioconjugate, so that it doesn't get released to the environment. It really does its function.
Okay.
So the trials and you can say the confirmations are going on, but there are places I think some of them are also in you can say in practice, but maybe in a limited you can say,
Okay. One more. Basically, we are working on the radio tracer technique. So, PET, SPECT, and some of example. So I think one of the concern in the biomedical modalities for nanoparticles that how to characterize at the final stage, because normally in these radioactive stage we used to perform it by HPLC for size and other thing we are not able to characterize at that point. So do you think there are some development which can detect its characterization part while it is radioactive?
radioactive. I think I am not that much sure to
Okay,
answer your
yeah.
question. I am not working in that radioactive area. We are working only on zinc oxides and you can say AG doped zinc oxides. Whatever I have presented is the work being published by somebody else. So
Okay.
since it is an SPP, I've shared the you can say information which is there in the public domain. So I'm not confident enough to answer you to work when we are working with radioactive materials. So that may be limitation is definitely there, and I also have a
Yeah,
limitation to answer this question.
sure. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So I would like to invite
Dr. Raj, very
Yeah,
lucid, very
yes, sir.
lucid presentation, Dr. Raj. I had a small question, like in terms of the detection ability of these functionalized nanoparticles. Which one would you recommend in terms of their detection ability for the foodborne pathogens? Or is it individualized related to the speciality of the nanoparticle?
Sir, I'll answer your question. In fact, we are working in this area. For foodborne pathogens, we have ventured into gold nanoparticles because gold nanoparticles are much safer when you compare to even zinc oxide nanoparticles. Gold nanoparticles have been in use as even as a treatment methods. For you can say humans for various ailments, especially if you see about arthritis and many other kind of things. So we are venturing into gold, I can say, nanoparticles for, I can say, detecting food pathogens. Even by chance, if it goes into the system, it is, I can say, may not create much harm because we are dealing with food. We are trying to detect, I can say, a toxin in the food, and we should not use a toxin to detect that food pathogens. So we are currently working on, I can say, gold nanoparticles for detecting pathogens. Exclusively, we are working on bacteria, and we are trying to check for, they can say, this their thermal stability and so on. And there are a lot of people who have worked in this area, but in our lab, we are just initiated and we are doing this work.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah,
sir,
thank you.
for this kind of excellent talk. We have learned a lot, sir. Now I would like to invite Professor and Head Department of Biotechnology, MM Tube University. Please felicitate to Professor Raj Mohan, sir, by life membership of International Association of Zoologists. Please, sir.
It's a proud privilege, Professor Raj Mohan Balakrishnanji, for a very lucid presentation. And as a it's a matter of pleasure for me to accord on you this the fellow of the International Association of Zoologists as a lifetime membership, and we are indeed proud that you had made us aware about various intricacies of these functionalized nanoparticles, and hope to have many more laurels in your life in future as well. So many
Thank you very much, sir.
congratulations, sir.
It's indeed a
And
great.
we are also indebted that you agreed to deliver your talk for this particular international seminar. Thank you so much. Many congratulations again.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I am really I'm very glad to be a part of your organization and honored by the life membership in your association. Uh, and
Thank you so much, sir.
indeed, I need to thank Dr. Himanshu Oja, who has introduced myself to a very, you can say, glorious, or you can say, an excellent organization like this. And being a Sunday, I find a lot of people been attending this program, and in fact, I thank, I can say, the organizers for giving me this, can say, opportunity to interact with you on a holiday. Of course, during COVID time now, it's most of the days are holidays, but we are working from home. And Sunday being, I can say, a special day for many of them. In spite of that, I could able to interact with many eminent persons in this area of, can say, I mean to say, the zoologists, eminent zoologists in the area of, I can say, the conference. I don't know what to say. I don't know whether I've done the justice to the topic which I have presented. In fact, it's an attempt, and opportunities like this will try to help me to further improve this kind of, I can say, interactive seminars. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the
Thank you so much,
organization.
Dr. Raj.
Thank you so much, sir.
And thank you, Dr. Oja, also, Himanshu Oja. Yeah, thanks a lot. We heard him yesterday, and it was also a very excellent talk. And the way you started, like initially from the very basics, I hope our students, our participants also must have enjoyed your talk. Thank you so much. Thank you.
A great day.
Thank you so much, sir.
I sign off. I sign off. Thank you very much. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
have a
have
great
with
day.
us our next speaker, guest speaker, Professor Anjani Tiwari, sir. Professor, Department of Chemistry, Baba Bhimrao Ambedkar University, Lucknow. And because of the very little time in this meeting, just we will start our next meeting after a fraction of second. We will cut down once and we will start immediately the next meeting with Professor Anjani Tiwari, sir. So Siddharth,
Yes, sir.
start the current meeting and